Thanks for joining us for our Chamber Connection podcast. Thanks to our friends at Speakeasy, we are here for the next 52 weeks, bringing you guests from around our community, elected officials, business owners, folks doing great work here in Macomb County. So sit back, take a listen, and we hope you'll join us every week for our Chamber Connection.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the Chamber Connection podcast. I am not your regular host. It's been a while since I've been here on the podcast, but we are going to kind of switch things up a little bit as we release season 2 of the Chamber Connection. So I'm Tom. I'm the Director of Operations with the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber, and we're going to put our regular host, Stacy, we're going to put her in the interview chair and kind of change things up a little bit.
A little nervous this morning.
Yeah, you're used to asking the questions.
I am used to asking the questions.
But we're going to switch this up on you a little bit.
All right, I think I can do this.
So I kind of want to start with where you are now. Right. Usually you say, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Tell me about what you do now. We know that you're a chamber president and CEO, but it's a big, kind of a broad title.
It is.
So tell me, what do you do? What do you like about it? Let's go.
All right. What do I do? I don't know most days. Some days it is a crapshoot.
Wait a second.
So my job is to be the face of the chamber, to be out representing the chamber in the community. And some days that could be being at a ribbon cutting. Other days that could be at partner meetings with different sponsors or members. Some days it's sitting at my office and answering emails. FYI, I hate those days the most, and the team knows that. If I spend too many days like that in a row, I get a little cranky and stir crazy. But really, the way I look at it is my job is out there connecting with our community, engaging them with the chamber. Tom always says I do a better job out in the field sometimes than I do a better job in the office. So I guess he might want me out of the office more is what I'm checking.
No, wait a second.
But it's fun. You know, what do I like? I love it. I love talking to people, right? Something came across social media this morning where it said, to all those kids that got, were put in the corner and said they talk too much in school. Well, that was me. I know that's a surprise to just about anyone that's ever met me. But, really, Sterling Heights is my hometown. Sterling Heights is where I'm from. I love Macomb County and what we're doing in this community. And I get the opportunity to share that with others, whether it is, at events with the Detroit Regional Chamber, whether it's the Macomb County Partners event, whether it's just meeting sponsors and vendors and talking about what we're doing. That's probably my favorite part.
Okay. What was your relationship with the chamber before you got to the chamber? I know other than just maybe getting a beer from us at Sterling Fest, how did you find the chamber? How did you make your way into this exec position?
So it's no secret that my mom is pretty active in Sterling Heights too. She's been a local elected official since 2001. And so the chamber was around. I will be honest, I did not know what the chamber did when I, probably not even when I interviewed for the job, I realized what they did. But like in those years prior, they poured beer at Sterling Fest and they threw a really great Christmas party.
That makes 2 of us.
I didn't know what else they did. And so, when you start looking at what chambers do, not only here in Macomb County and in, the western side of Macomb County and the communities we work with, but all around the country, what chambers do. I was reading something that chambers have been around since the 1800s, like the 1880s is the first sign of a chamber, which seems a little bit foreign. And some have changed and evolved and some haven't. We have changed and evolved over the years to fit the needs of our business owners and our community members. And so when I got here, I realized it's members and it's events. I can do that. I've been doing events for a long time. There's a lot more that we can do that we are starting to do.
Okay. Let's pile on that. That was a nice segue.
Thank you. It's like we planned this.
Have you been hosting a podcast for a year now? So what are some of the new things that we're doing? I know even since I started in April of 2021, you were kind of already shaking things up. And it was it's not your father's chamber.
Or your grandfather's either.
And I joined right along with you. I was very happy to kind of change some things up. So what are some of the things that we're doing now? What are some of the things that you have planned? What's kind of separating us from your great grandfather's chamber that's kind of around town?
So I like to say that, when you look at a chamber, we are really good at business to business connections. We are really good. A chamber is really good at connecting businesses to other businesses. You need a realtor, here's one. You need a guy that does mosquitoes, here's one. We're really good at that. We also need to be really good at 2 other ways I look at this, is that we also need to take our businesses to the consumer and talk a little bit about, here's what a business does. I mean, we have so many businesses that are very niche in the chamber that you might never know of. And then the other thing that I think is really important that I think sets us apart is we have to bring the consumer to the business. You know, we in this day and age, we have to be providing all of the access for our community members to find out who these businesses are that are available. I mean, we got a call last week about looking for an acupuncturist. It's not uncommon for people to call the chamber looking for a certified type business, that a business is good if they belong to the chamber. And so, you know, I think that's something that we've done. We've shaken up our events. You know, we did, right when you started, actually, we had just kicked off a strategic planning process. Took us about 6 months to really go through that. My favorite thing now is some of the events that, you know, just don't serve us anymore. We've been able to like look at our strategic plan and say, this doesn't serve us anymore, but let me show you what does. And so I think we've done a really good job of changing the perception and what we're doing. I think one of the coolest things I have to say that you and I did last year was meet with a group of Gen Z entrepreneurs.
That was an eye-opening.
It was humbling, was it not?
It was humbling.
So the Skillman Foundation, located in Detroit, has a Gen Z council of entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders.
Really industrious kids.
Oh my gosh. Kids, yes, but they are.
And they would be mad if they heard me say kids.
They were really smart. And so one of the things that, you know, Tom and I did is part of this process was to have them talk about the chamber and what they heard from us for 20 minutes without being able to interrupt and correct them. And I think we learned that young entrepreneurs, especially these Gen Z entrepreneurs, are going to look for different things from groups like us. And we have to evolve to meet their needs instead of them evolving to fit what we do. So I think that we are constantly going to be changing things and looking at how we can do things differently, because if not, we will be your great-grandfather's chamber generationally sooner than we would before.
I think one of my biggest takeaways from that meeting was, and I'm sure everybody in every business is doing this, we need to get on TikTok. We need to start a TikTok. So we go down and we talk to the Gen Z and we're like, we need to do a TikTok. And they said, wait a second, you don't need to do a TikTok. Do what you do well. Just continue doing it. Work on your Facebook, work on your Instagram, work on your newsletter. Make those more appealing to Generation Z instead of just trying to me and you coordinate a dance to do on TikTok, because I don't think
that will not be happening.
I don't think
nobody stay tuned for that.
I don't think anybody wants to see that. So we've covered the chamber. Yep. You've got a long, and, you know, I mean, this is where we originally met with your history from nonprofits. So talk to me a little bit about your path through St. Jude, through Thaw. Maybe, you know, we can rehash a good old Radiothon memory.
I had a neighbor when I was a young high school student that was planning events for Children's Hospital. And I remember said, I want to do that. I remember both my parents just being so thrilled at the time that their daughter, they were going to spend all this money to send their kid to college. And you know, their daughter was going to go work for a nonprofit.
Sure.
I did have the luxury of working for two very successful nonprofits. It's very funny when I look at the trajectory of my career. And so I worked for St. Jude for 12 years, which is a big national nonprofit.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I spent time all across the country. Yes, you and I did probably my absolute favorite event, which was the WY City Radiothon. You and I became friends there. I made great friends at the station that I still have to this day, lifelong friends there. But also gave me an opportunity to, you know, you're really trying to cultivate people to believe in the mission. So that was what our radiothons were all about. Were, you know, engaging others, educating so that they felt compelled to donate. And I was there for a long time. I traveled more than I ever imagined. I had my 3-ounce hair products packed and my bag packed. I had a go bag. I was ready to go to Memphis or anywhere they needed me to at a moment's notice. I got to travel the state. I got to see, you know, not only around the country, but throughout the state of Michigan. I worked with radio stations all the way from Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie, Benton Harbor, Grand Rapids, Saginaw, all over. I was all over the state doing that. It was fun. Dinners, galas, golf tournaments, college events, you know, we did it all. And then, so you got this big national organization, and then I decided that I didn't really want to be on an airplane or a car anymore. So I took a job at the Heat and Warmth Fund, also known as Thaw, doing their development work, galas, golf tournaments, honestly, a radiothon before I even started.
And more radiothons.
Back in your same building with WWJ. So I made new friends in the building. But I got to focus more on the state of Michigan. I got to do their lobbying work, and both on the federal level and the state level. So then when it came time to come to the chamber, so if you think national, state, and now I'm local. Now I'm really focusing on where I live, where I work, where I recreate, where I play, where I have a good time. And so it's kind of a strange trajectory that I didn't realize until I was interviewing for them.
I've never made that connection either.
So I've kind of tied it all back to here.
So are you going to be like the neighborhood president next? You're just even smaller and smaller?
No, thank you. Have you ever met those homeowners associations? I mean, they're a little wonky.
They are. Stacy's knocking at your door. Listen, the mailbox needs to be fixed.
Sorry, your fence is 2 inches too tall.
So we talked about the radiothons. I think St. Jude, not that that Thaw is not fascinating, but I think St. Jude being just, everybody knows St. Jude. It's a national, it's a huge, really huge ordeal. Talk to me about some of the other like successful events that you coordinated, or any like a unique experience you had within St. Jude.
I will say that one of my favorite events, and I look back on this, was in 2012. St. Jude was turning 50, and we had a board member that said to us early in 2012, we are going to plan an event this year, and it's going to be a gala. And so if you think back, I worked for St. Jude during the economic downturn of 08, 09. We saw lots of programs get canceled. We had not had a gala in about 5 or 6 years at that point. So we were really building something from scratch, but we had to do it. We had a deadline because, you only turn 50 once in a calendar year. So you had to celebrate it before that year ended. And we made it work. And when we looked at a room full of people that had not gathered together in years, and we had sponsors lining up and, attendees and silent auction and live auction, and to watch that come together is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And then one of my favorite events at Thaw, I know you focus on St. Jude, but Thaw was we did a 9-hole ladies golf outing followed by a ladies golf fashion show. We called it the Swing with Bling. That was just fun. It took these ladies forever to play 9 holes because we were yapping and having a good time around the entire golf course. But it was one of those things that was an idea of mine, and then we tied in a fashion show, and it was really a fun event.
Yeah. So I guess if we just went, we went through the trajectory again.
It's like I read your questions.
What's your favorite event we do right now at the Chamber?
Ooh, my favorite event we do at the Chamber. I like some of the events that we get to do. When I think back to what we did in 2020, we did one that was really born out of necessity, right? Because we were still can't go anywhere. Places were closed. We did a scavenger hunt.
Sure.
So people met at our office. They had 10 clues to get them to the next stops. And we went as far west as Romeo, and then we went as far east as Mount Clemens.
Okay.
We had people make 10 stops, and we ended at Dodge Park with ice cream.
Fun.
And so it was one of those things, though, that we were able to showcase businesses. We just asked each business to provide something. So some places it was donuts, bundt cakes, pig candy at Brown Iron Brewery. And then we had candy at other spots. We did it twice in 2020. We did a summer edition and a fall edition. And it really, the feedback we got was like, hey, we didn't know some of these places existed in our own community. And so when you're going it was 13 miles or 14-mile drives, people were finding things that they, it wasn't the old road rally where there was a prize for first place or anything like that, because we didn't want any accidents or liability. But it was really to highlight these businesses and to give them these opportunities. Since then, we've really had a great way of connecting people. We're really redoing our Women's Business Alliance and the events that we're doing.
Those have been great.
Those have been great. We brought in some outside speakers that are just giving us different perspective. We did one on avoiding burnout and decision fatigue, which I'm the first person to say, do not ask me what to make for dinner at the end of the night, because I do not know. I've made decisions all day. We did another one about how to talk to strangers, which was great. Again, I don't usually meet a lot of strangers. I was out last night and even ran into someone in the bathroom that I had known from a couple years ago.
Not surprised.
The people I was with said the same thing. We're not surprised.
That's the specific groups that we've been working on. You just touched on the WBA. Yep. I've been really proud of our YoPros work. That's been happening.
They've been awesome.
Yeah,
you are proud of it. I'm proud of you too, Tom. Thanks for leading the charge there.
We've got the help of our e-board, Chelsea, and
it helps that you are a YoPro yourself.
It doesn't look like it with this hairline, but I try to stay as
the birth certificate says that it is.
I try to stay as youthful as I can, but that kind of leads me into we are I don't know if this is the perfect way to say it, but like an apolitical chamber and more of a community chamber. Right. A lot of people will ask us, what separates, just like quickly you meet somebody, what separates your chamber from another chamber? And I always my quick answer is we're apolitical and we are more of a community focused chamber. So instead of me explaining it, walk us through that.
Yeah, some chambers, and you'll see this around the country, around the state, is that they will endorse a candidate. They might give that candidate a donation from a PAC or something like that. We don't do any of that. Like, we will endorse issues that affect our community. Last year, we endorsed the Smart Millage, and our public policy committee reviews them, takes it to the board, and the board does the official endorsement. Because that issue can affect our business owners, our community members, and our people that come to work every day. So that is one reason that we will take those stances. You'll see us out in the community a lot. You see us at Sterling Fest with the beer tent and the carnival. You'll see us at the Shelby Township kickoff for their summer kickoff. You'll see us at, downtown Utica for their events and supporting their community events. And that's where we feel that we can engage the most, because that we are really bringing our services and what we provide to the community. And, I think that's one of our biggest selling points and what keeps us apart.
Yeah, I think bringing, you kind of touched on it very early in the conversation, bringing our businesses to the consumers. And I feel like it seems like a no-brainer, but a lot of, you look around and some of the chambers that we kind of work with are not focusing on that as much. Yeah. And I think delivering them right to the consumer, getting the businesses out in front of them, and getting us out in front of them is a great way to do that.
I read something yesterday when I talked about chamber membership, and they said chamber membership is like your gym membership. Like, you only get out of it what you put in. Yeah. Like, we could all pay to belong to a gym, right? But if we just, they take money out of our account every month and we don't show up, we're not losing any weight and we're not making, we're not building any muscles. But if you actually show up and you do something, odds are it might work in your favor. And it's kind of like chamber membership, right?
Come out to the networking events, utilize our resources, get yourself known, get involved. That's definitely the way to do it. So what, maybe this is just me selfishly asking, what can we look forward to from the chamber this year? I just need to know how busy I'm going to be.
Well, mark your calendar, because I hope you don't have any summer vacation plans.
We need volunteers at Sterling Fest.
Nice plug. So, the chamber does over 50 events a year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're well aware of that, right? Because your calendar is blocked on these. And we try to, make sure that our events are diverse in terms of what we offer. So we are doing our networking events. We've got upcoming networking events, upcoming community-wide events where we talk about our community leaders breakfast, the governor's coming to town, things like that. And then we do a ton in the summer. We have a golf outing at the end of June. We also have a 13-week beer series. Where are my beer drinkers at out there? I know you're there somewhere.
Beer, seltzer, canned wine, canned cocktails. It's kind of gone off the rails.
It has kind of gone off the rails, which is fine with me.
It's a lot of fun.
But we do that every Thursday night in conjunction with Music in the Park and Dodge Park and the Farmers Market. And when we looked at what that was like in 2021, it was pretty astounding to watch people come out. They were looking to see their friends and their neighbors and gather. And so, we really capitalized on that. And if you want to try some unique beer that we can find from across the country, definitely come out and try it. Tom's right. Sterling Fest, July 27th, 28th, and 29th at Dodge Park. If you're available, we need all the beer pours that we can get. But again, a great way to engage with other chamber members that are there, meeting them in a really social setting. And it totally helps. And, we have, I'm trying to think what else. What's in September? Oh, September, another busy month for the chamber. We have our food truck rally.
We love it.
We have our State of the City with Mayor Mike Taylor. Then we roll into the Community Leaders Breakfast in October. We're going to add 2 events to our calendar this year. One is on women in finance and, looking at those business owners. How do we get capital? How do we get startup funds? How do we invest money? What does that mean? And so we've got some industry leaders speaking to that. And then we are also going to do an economic outlook on real estate and talking about how homeownership impacts the economics and where do businesses go because there's a high population of people living there. The other thing we're doing is that we have taken the lead on an M59 collaboration.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I said this at an event last week, that when people say you're from Sterling Heights, what's the first thing they ask you about? What's happening in the Lakeside? We know that the city...
Do you know? What is happening? Can you help us?
The city signed an MOU a couple weeks ago. Stay tuned to the podcast. You might get some information there.
Okay.
It's a tease, right?
Nice.
Is that what they call it in the biz?
That's what they call it in the biz.
Is that what they call it in the biz?
Nicely done.
But we realize that there are 18 miles along M59 in 6 municipalities, and we don't often talk to each other. And so the chamber works with all of the municipalities up and down M59. We thought, why not we be the convener? So we are applying for some grant funding to help us put together a regional plan. And so we decided we were going to take ownership of it. and figure out how we can have this cohesive. I can't remember the number of millions of people that drive that road every single day. It's one of the most desirable quadrants of real estate across Southeast Michigan, where restaurants, I think, correct me if I am, back in the day, that they're back recently, that Alta is the number one in the country.
Really?
I know. So places like that, DSW is high ranking, and they're in the country as well because of where they're located.
I'll just tell you, the line at the Chick-fil-A tells me they're doing okay.
Correct. We know what kind of day that we're all having if the Chick-fil-A line is long. But again, everyone wants to be on that corridor. And so how do we then capitalize on that corridor to make sure we're all making smart decisions?
Yeah. It sounds like we're going to be really busy.
Yeah, I hope that you didn't want to go anywhere this summer. Did you need any vacation time? Because I'm going to say no right now.
I love spending my summers at Dodge Park.
Spoken like a true chamber executive.
Well, this has been really fun.
This has been fun.
Sitting on this side of the microphone, interviewing you.
Do you want to do it next week? I'll bring in another guest and you can talk to them and I'll just take the hiatus.
Yeah, I've got my radio background. I come in here, a couple of cameras and a couple of microphones, and I feel right at home.
Do you need a board over here to work too?
Was that a DJ?
It was a DJ move.
We might need to reel it back in and get back to networking. Stacy, before we exit, let's preview season 2 a little bit. What can we look forward to on the podcast? Who's coming to talk to you? Why should people keep tuning in and checking us out on YouTube every week?
So we've been taking the time to we've been taking the podcast and really focusing on our members, but also people doing some really cool things in our community. So we've got folks from some of our nonprofits. Yeah. One of our members who is a nonprofit, but just won a gift from Thanksgiving from our friends at First State Bank and Inclusively Fit. We're going to talk to them about
They got a great mission.
They have a great mission. And so you're going to learn about some of the kids and why going to this facility, a young man got his first job. And now has self-confidence to, ask for a promotion too. So it's cool stuff like that. We've talked to Six Rivers Land Conservancy. We have also talked to our friends here at Media who let us come in here every week and do this podcast. Hi guys in the back that keep us on task. So we've got, some great guests coming in. We look forward to more. We've been talking to the people at the Detroit Zoo. We've been talking to people at Blake. So again, the biz, there's some teaser.
That's good. I'm excited. Do you want to sign us off?
Well, this was fun. Thanks, Tom, for turning the tables on me. I hope that I kept you all entertained because I hope all of my guests keep you entertained for your drive to work every day. But we hope that you'll join us on the next edition of the Chamber Connection and hopefully at some of our upcoming events this summer. Thanks for tuning in to the Chamber Connection. Be sure to check out information on the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber of Commerce website, our Facebook page, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We look forward to you connecting with us and tuning in next time.